Hello and welcome to the talkSPORT Goals preview show, brought to you by Final One Standing, new from William Hill, 18 plus, gambleaware.org. I'm Sam Ellard, and joining me to look ahead to the weekend's Premier League action is Lee Phelps from William Hill. Hi Lee, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Enjoyed the midweek fixtures. One day off, back in the Goals studio for Saturday. Cannot wait.
Yeah, one day too many though. What are we supposed to do on Friday? It's like,
Hull
no Premier
City
League
versus
football.
Middlesbrough in the Championship. Epic boost. Middlesbrough to score first. There you go.
That is why we love William Hill. Final One Standing. Latest, please, Lee. Are we getting any closer to having a winner in the original 500k jackpot?
No, we absolutely are. I mean, like I've got the figures here right in front of me, because obviously the round only finished last night, so you have to wait for the full round to finish before you can kind of get all the numbers together. Now, in the big game, the £500,000 game, there are just over 1,000 players left. Another 60% went through, with Palace and Forest both winning away from home. In some of those other games, remember, we've been running games week in, week out now for 14 weeks. So the 50k games, the £20,000 games, some of those have got 30 players left. Some have got 50 in. Most of the 3 or 4 that were those early games have got under 100 players in. So
wow,
we're expecting maybe a winner this weekend. As far as the big game, the 500k game, this is hot off the press as we record. 32% have gone Forest. We'll get into this as we go through. 16% have gone Everton. Nearly 16% have gone Palace. But it is quite spread out. The only team at the moment who haven't got a pick in there is Manchester City. So that everyone's got a pick. So at least one person could win here. It's like, so I can't wait for it.
Yeah, big weekend and lots on the line of the Premier League, lots on the line of Final One Standing. Happy days. Lee, let's get straight stuck into it then, shall we? We're going to go game by game in the Premier League. You're going to try and pick out some nice prices and results for our wonderful viewers. Villa versus Arsenal, Saturday, 12:30. It's third versus first. Villa, 6 points off Arsenal. They've won 8 of their last 9 league games. Massive game, this, Lee.
Absolutely, yeah. 3-1 Villa. The draw 12-5. Arsenal 10-11. There's a bit of something there for everyone, I think, because Villa fans will think, oh, 3-1 at home, don't mind that. Arsenal at 10-11, you're not going to get them at that kind of price very often this season. I know they're away from home. And the draw, 12-5, you could make a decent argument for that. I think if you're going for a draw, by the way, if you're going draw on both teams to score, in fact, you could probably add both teams to score into any of those 3 results. I guess the big question is Ollie Watkins back? 2 goals in that mad game in the week, and just in time for one of his favourite opponents. 6 goals in 11 versus the Gunners, 3 in his last 5. I mean, Emery's record as Villa boss, he's now won 62 games. That makes him arguably the most successful manager in the Premier League era for Villa. Definitely won more games than any other manager. The problem they've got here is Arsenal, isn't it? We keep putting these things in front of them, saying, well, North London derby, tick. Bayern Munich, tick. How do they get on against Chelsea? And a very good Chelsea, by the way, last Sunday, tick. They got through it, didn't play particularly well, got a point, probably could have put the foot down and try and win the game. And the defence is very good. They're the best away team in the league. It's really hard. I'd be looking out for an epic boost on this one. We'll have epic boosts on all the Premier League TV games this weekend. Here's one for you, though. After producer Jamie's stat, on the midweek goals, that no Premier League player has scored more headers this season in all comps than Merino, with 8. Of his 14, by the way.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Unbelievable record. Him to score a header has been boosted from 13-2, so 6.5-1, out to 17-2, 8.5-1. I think that's good value.
There we go. All thanks to producer Jamie, right? He's having an influence on the betting market. We'll be happy with that. We go to our Saturday 3 o'clock game, Bournemouth versus Chelsea. Bournemouth in really, really poor form, down to 14th in the Premier League, winning just 1 of their last 7 games. Chelsea brought back down to earth on Wednesday against Leeds, losing. They had a really good couple of weeks, didn't they? Beating Barcelona, getting a decent point against Arsenal. Really poor on Wednesday, though, at Ellen Road. So Lee, Bournemouth, Chelsea, where do you go with this one?
Yeah, tough one, isn't it? Tough one because you've got teams that you can't really predict. Bournemouth 21-10 at home. Don't like that much. The draw 13-5. It's okay. And Chelsea 23-20. Remember on Sunday we were talking about Chelsea before the Arsenal game, saying they're almost the opposite of being flat track bullies, because they seem to do it against the better teams and then fall over in the games that they shouldn't do. They lost at home to Sunderland, for instance, proved it at Elland Road on Wednesday night. I mean, it was a calamitous performance, really, defensively, wasn't it? But then this is an ideal game for them. But Leeds away was an ideal game for them to go and back it up. Bournemouth, as you said, poor run of form, 4 losses and a draw in the last 5. The draw was against West Ham. To be fair, the losses were against this rejuvenated Villa, Manchester City, Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, and at home to Everton. That's the one where you think probably should have done better in that game, at least a draw against Everton. But Chelsea, I've looked back at when they do lose, it's not very often, by the way, they don't bounce back straight away that well. They lost to Man United and obviously would have been a bit grumpy about it because of the disciplinary problems, similar to Arsenal. And then they lost to Brighton in the next Premier League game. They lost to Sunderland at home, and then they went to Wolves in the Cup and won 4-3. And even though they won the game, and they had a decent side out, by the way, it still looks a bit poor now in retrospect. Palmer scored the opener last time these two played. They're pretty tight games. I think I'll go score draw.
Everton versus Nottingham Forest, another Saturday 3 o'clock game. Both sides have really good wins in the week. Forest going to Wolves and winning. They're now 3 points off the relegation zone. Big win for them against struggling Wolves. Everton going to Bournemouth, as you mentioned, and winning. Everton 10th, but 3 points off the top 4. It's so tight, so congested, from pretty much 3rd down to like 14th, 15th. Everton Forest, how do you call this one, Lee?
Everton 23-20, the draw 11-5, and Forest are 5-2. As I said before, 16% on Everton in the big £500,000 final one standing league. Bit of a Dyche derby, this, isn't it? I expect it to be very tight, not telling anyone anything new there. Grealish and Gibbs-White, probably the men to include in your bet builders if you're looking at attacking players. They don't have to score goals, shots on target, etc. Remember, Grealish is also the most fouled player in the league as well. 40 fouls against him. He's up against Nicolo Savona. 5 yellows for Juve in 28 league games last season. None so far for Forest. Played 9 games. That's 1 in 6 for Juve. Nothing yet. So he's kind of due one, and he might be tested against Grealish. But if you don't want to go for a card, I've gone for this as a bet builder. Remember, looking at bet builders across all the Premier League games. Impact sub applies to your player picks. Under 2.5 goals. Shot on target for Morgan Gibbs-White. Shot on target for Jack Grealish. Remember, scored as well this season. A couple of assisting for fun. And Nicolo Savona, over 2 tackles up against Grealish, if the predicted lineups are correct. That's 10-1, that bet builder.
Nice, that's a good bet builder. City Sunderland, another Saturday 3 o'clock game. City 6 off Arsenal. They have won 4 of their last 5 league games. In the last few days, not at their best, conceding 2 against Leeds, 4 against Fulham, but still picking up back-to-back wins. And of course, possibly before that game at 3 o'clock, Arsenal might have dropped points away at Villa, and that'd be an even bigger incentive for City to make sure they get that victory. But they're going up against that Sunderland team, Lee, that I think I'm waiting for them just to fall away, but they're showing no signs of it. I think before the Bournemouth game on the weekend, they hadn't won in 3. They beat Bournemouth. They go to Anfield and get a point. They're the surprise package, but I'm guessing you guys have got them. I'm guessing 6, 7, 8-1 to win at the Etihad?
Go one bigger, 9-1 to win at the Etihad. The draw 5-1, Man City 1-4. Hate being an after-timer, but I do have proof. If anyone can be bothered to go back on the records on talkSPORT 2 before the Liverpool-Sunderland game, I did put up the draw. I just can't see how Sunderland can be this disrespected. You know, the idea behind the draw at 4-1, by the way, at Anfield, was that this is a side who deserve to be where they are in the table. You know, that run without a win did include drawing with Arsenal. You know, I was pinning my hopes on that draw and them playing for a draw, effectively, trying to hit Liverpool with a sucker punch, and Liverpool struggling to break them down, but obviously having the capability to score a goal. And that's how it proved. The difference here is that Man City are much better than Liverpool going forward. You know, there's no comparison between these two sides at the minute. Confidence is flowing through Man City. They do concede, obviously. I just don't know if Sunderland can score as many goals as Man City. So I think City win this 1-4. Look, it's going in Ackers, isn't it? It's got to be in an Ackers. You've got your Acker boost, 4 or more picks. Another game coming up in a minute that we'll add into that as well. So I think it goes in there. Haaland broke through the 100 Premier League goal barrier. You've just got to have Man City in it. You go bet builder, because I think there'll be shots on target. I think there'll be goals from Man City. I could see this being a 3-1.
City in your acca, and I reckon Newcastle might be in your acca as well. Many people's accas, because they're at home to Burnley this weekend. Newcastle had won back-to-back games against City and Everton and played really well. They drew in the week to Spurs, conceding a late goal, 2 points drop there. Burnley losing again in the week at home to Palace. That's a sort of game for Burnley where I know Palace are a good team, that they're the games they'll be looking at, trying to get 3 points in those games at home. Burnley have lost their last 5, still in the bottom 3, Lee. Match odds, please, and also interested for how you guys have got the relegation odds, because I imagine Burnley are getting shorter and shorter to get relegated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 3 to 10 Newcastle, so 100 to 30 on. The draw 9 to 2, Burnley 17 to 2. Yeah, I mean, we've talked week in, week out. I mean, it's harsh, isn't it, with relegation threatened teams, because you don't want to be too down on them. But I just think they've flattered to deceive most of the season. And now they're not even getting results where you think they should pick them up. They're 1 to 14 to go down. I remember when Wolves were 1 to 10, I was saying they were down. Well, Wolves are 1 to 50 now, by the way. But 1 to 14 to go down. There's not much more you can say about this game than...
I think, Lee, it's a team that just lacks quality, doesn't it? I mean, we've watched a lot of them on goals this season. They look like a team that's going to work hard. They're going to be all the cliches at Turf Moor, well-drilled, aggressive, but I've watched a lot of them this season, and I just don't think going forward offensively, they've got enough quality to win enough games of football.
I absolutely agree. Newcastle are in your acca. If you're looking for value in the game, then you might look at, the goal scorers. Nick Voltemada is in there on, 3 or more shots on target, 11 to 4. But there's not a lot of value around because this is Newcastle United at home against the second worst team in the Premier League. Home win.
And just before we take our first quick break, got the relegation odds there. Interested as well, if we can, for the Champions League odds, because we've mentioned loads of times on goals how tight this league table is. Is it quite hard for you guys then to price up who's finishing in the Champions League places this season?
Yeah, I mean, it changes every week. It was really interesting. I was looking at this the other day. I'm just getting them up now. But if we say top 5, if we keep it at that, obviously Arsenal, Man City are home and hosed. Liverpool have drifted. Now they're 2 to 7, still a short price. 2 to 5 Chelsea, and then the teams that we're kind of interested in: Villa 11 to 10, Man United 6 to 4, Newcastle 3 to 1, Palace 3 to 1. 100 to 30, so a bit bigger, 3.33 to 1, Brighton, and then your big jump to Bournemouth. I mean, I think Man United at 6 to 4 are too short in that market. I just don't see how they've got that consistency. I think Newcastle at 3 to 1, they've got the capability of going on good runs, and they've got a good team, and they've got Vissa to come back in if he gets fit. So I think they've got improvement to come. I just don't see that Man United are making any. We'll come on to them, but I don't see them making any inroads into that. I think they're priced purely on reputation, really, and weight of money. And Newcastle 3 to 1 looks the bet there.
I remember asking this question very early in the season, Lee, when Villa had a tricky start, hadn't won in the first 4 or 5 league games, had they? And I remember their price drifting out already to quite a big one. And I remember thinking at the time, it felt like people have written Villa off quite early on in the season. So I wonder if many people had jumped on that price when they drifted out sort of 4 or 5 games into the season. So 5 games done. We've got 5 games to go on the talkSPORT Goals preview show, which is brought to you by William Hill, 18+, begambleaware.org. This is the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by Final One Standing New from William Hill, 18+, at gambleaware.org. It's Sam Ellard and Lee Phelps taking you through the Premier League action this weekend. Lee, we've done 5 games. We've got one more Saturday 3 o'clock game to go. Watching these games with you on talkSPORT's YouTube channel on talkSPORT Goals. Saturday 12:30 to 5:30. Spurs, Brentford. Pressure is on Thomas Frank still, and it's going absolutely nowhere. Spurs haven't won in 5 league games. Both teams on 19 points, but we know, Lee, Spurs' home record in 2025 is woeful.
Yeah, so Brentford's away record isn't a lot better though, is it? So it's like, I get it, and you can understand, it's just a tough game to call. It's like one of those where you kind of look at it from a betting point of view, and if you didn't have to preview it, you probably wouldn't. It's difficult, and I think you're drawn to the draw straight away. Tottenham are 13 to 10, the draw 12 to 5, Brentford 2 to 1. The draw is the biggest price of the 3, and it's the only one I really like. Look, Brentford were dogged against Arsenal. They played all right, to be fair. Kelleher in goal was good. I think he made 5 saves. He obviously let 2 in. I've got no confidence in backing Tottenham at home in this game. Similarly, I haven't really got much confidence in backing Brentford away. So it has to be the draw. Score draw. I think that's the only way you can go in this game, honestly.
We've got a lot of draws already, haven't we, this weekend? You reckon Bournemouth Chelsea's going to be a draw? Everton Forest possibly a draw. Spurs Brentford possibly a draw. That's kind of an acca. If you can pick 3 or 4 draws out in a weekend, rightly, in an acca, you're absolutely laughing, aren't you, as a punter?
Absolutely. And also, you got to remember, it's a stacked period of games, isn't it? Obviously, some teams coming off a stacked period of Champions League games and European games, and then you've got the midweek as well. And as these games draw on, if you find that they are level, if you get past the 60th, 70th minute mark, sometimes you find that the levels go down a bit. And if that's matched, then the draw, I think the draw is pretty likely. I think it's a good weekend to pick a couple of, or maybe 3 out.
Nice. What about the Saturday 5:30 game then, Lee? Leeds, Liverpool. Leeds will be absolutely bouncing, won't they? Beating Chelsea in the week, their first win since late October. They're out of the bottom 3. West Ham dropping into the bottom 3. Liverpool had lost 9 and 12 in all competitions. Have got 4 points, though, from their last 2 league games, winning at West Ham, drawing at home to Sunderland. How do you see this game going, Lee? Do you fancy Liverpool to maybe go 3 unbeaten? I mean, can you believe that?
Jeez, I mean, wow. Liverpool
Who'd have thought
4-5,
it,
slight odds on. The draw 14-5, Leeds 3-1. Look, I'm based in Leeds. I tried to get in. Next door to this meeting room is Ellard Road. This one, someone was in it. I was going to chuck them out. So can I go in Ellard Road? I'm in Valley Parade.
Oh, is that talkSPORT exclusive? Is that Daniel Farker in with the Leeds hierarchy discussing his? Wow, that's an exclusive from Lee Phelps there.
They've all got different names, basically. I'm in Valley Parade. Brentford doing all right this season anyway. So, but look, I mean, I want to throw it back to you in a way because, how much confidence would you have as a Liverpool fan in backing Liverpool to go to Ellen Road after the Chelsea win and win?
None. I mean, the West Ham performance. The West Ham, they can. The West Ham performance was better, but then the Sunderland game in the week, it just felt more of the same. We were so lethargic, no ideas. Teams sitting back, playing with a low block, not having enough ideas, enough creativity. And the only moment I thought we actually looked good is when Sunderland scored, or better, is when Sunderland scored late on. So I've got absolutely no confidence in backing Liverpool to win this game of football. No.
One thing I was going to say is that Leeds won't be able to sit back at home. Ellen Road will be rocking. It usually is. Obviously, the Chelsea win, they've got a very, very distasteful, rude song about Chelsea, which Leeds fans watching will know, and it was resounding around Ellen Road the other night. So Leeds have to come forward. And I think that might play into Liverpool's hands here. If you're trying to think, how do Liverpool get at this? Leeds will be really confident now. I think Leeds score. We've had an ongoing joke about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Finally,
well, it's not really a joke, is it? You just keep mentioning him, and we're all a bit like, "What's the point in this?"
I stopped mentioning him, and he started scoring goals. I'll do all the stats, But look, when he's in form, he's not a goal every 2 games man. But when he gets into form, he's a confidence player, and I think he had a couple of games where he wasn't playing full 90 minutes. And he's come back, and obviously some fortune, in the Chelsea game, but he's there, and I think he'll cause problems. He's a sort of defender, a sort of player who, as a defender, you probably wouldn't want to play when he's on it at it. And at the moment, Liverpool's backline isn't exactly full of confidence. So I think this is going to be a good game. He's 15-8 to score at any time, by the way. 3-3 is probably asking a little bit too much. But, we just talked about draws, didn't we? You could see this one. But do you know what? Because Leeds will have to come on to Liverpool, and I think they'll be overly confident, I think they might get picked off. I think both teams to score, Liverpool to win at 9-4 is probably my play here.
That's Saturday 5:30. We move on to, can we call Brighton, West Ham, Fulham, Palace Super Sunday, or should we have a different name for it?
What do you think? With S.
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, no, good one, yeah. I think 4 letters, right? Yeah. No, it's more that one than Super, I think.
Somber Sunday.
Somber Sunday, that's a much better one than the one I was thinking of. No, these probably 2 games would be better than I'm giving them credit for. We've got Brighton, West Ham then is the early game on Sunday. West Ham in the bottom 3. Brighton losing last time out against Aston Villa in the week in that crazy game of football. They were 2 up, find themselves, though, on the wrong end of the result. But they're just 2 points off the top 4. Brighton, one of many teams in that kind of congested middle part of the table. I think I fancy Brighton to bounce back here, Lee.
Yeah, me too. I think we've watched a lot of Brighton, haven't we, this season, and there's not a lot to not like about them, to be honest with you. And even that game, it's Villa as we've just discussed earlier on, Villa are one of those teams who are like right in there for Champions League spots and very capable with a very good manager. And they pushed them all the way, didn't they, the other night? And look, before that, they were on a really good run. I mean, I've been a bit, down on them away from home, but went to Forest and won. And Forest have been playing all right lately. So, yeah, look, I think West Ham, they flattered to deceive a little bit, didn't they? When Nuno took over, you think, oh, there's a bit of a change here. Do you know what? Like, they had that win at Forest, and then since then they haven't won a game. 3 draws and 2 losses. Good point at Old Trafford in the end. I mean, I say that like, Man United aren't anything to write home about, but still, still stuck in there and got the point. I think it's a Brighton home win. I mean, I find it hard to put an argument up for West Ham to win this game. They're 4-1, 3-1 the draw. Brighton are odds on 6-10. I think Brighton home win. Maybe both teams to score.
Fulham Crystal Palace, the Sunday 4:30 game. What's catching your eye here, Lee?
Yeah, Fulham 6-4, the draw 9-4, and Palace are 9-5. Disappointing with Palace when we watched them last week, really. I mean, and the first half they were really good, weren't they? And then Man United just transformed. Maybe it was just tiredness. Maybe that's what it was. And then they bounced back and get a good win away from home. Took a load of those final one standing players through, like I said. I find this a tough one. I mean, I really do. I want to go Palace because they're a better team than Fulham, and they've obviously got goal scorers. But the draw is like, I mean, I sat on the fence so much in this game, in this preview of these games, that I don't want to go for the draw, but it's the one that's drawing me to it. I think if Fulham come out and try and play Palace, I think Palace can pick them off. I just worry that both teams will be one of those games where both teams get to the 60, 70-minute mark and the draw looks a decent result for both. Draw again.
Monday, 8 o'clock is Wolves, Manchester United. Wolves still yet to win in the league this season, just 2 points. United had those 3 wins in a row, and some people are saying, is this fine in the moment? They can now push on and turn a corner. Well, no. They drew with Forest, drew with Spurs, lost at home to Everton, bounced back with a win against Palace last weekend, and then dropped points at home to West Ham. So sort of knowing what Man United turns up, Lee, it's hard to predict. But against Wolves, this is the game they just have to win, right?
Surely, yes. Must win. I think it is a must-win because, the draw against West Ham is disappointing, isn't it? The win against Palace, really good. And it's like they take 2 steps forward and 1 back, or maybe 1 step forward and 1 back, actually, with Man United. They never quite go anywhere, that's what I'm trying to say. You look at the recent results, and there's some all right results in there. Don't get me wrong, I'm not decrying them. They don't lose many games, but they're just like not quite pushing on. This is an ideal opportunity to get a win under their belts. I mean, I'm not hugely confident, which is weird. They're odds on, Man United, 3-4. Don't really like backing Man United at odds on anywhere because you can't rely on them. The draw is 14-5, so just under 3-1. Wolves 16-5. I think, I can't back Wolves. Obviously, they are dreadful. And we've said even with the managerial change, we didn't think that anything would change in terms of their whether they get relegated or not. They are going down. They're 50-1 on to go down, Wolves. Man United win. Maybe Wolves get a goal, but they haven't scored a goal at home in the last 2 against Forest and Crystal Palace. I think the best way you can play it is to look at the Epic Boost on the Monday night football and have a play on that. It'll be around goal scorers for Man United, and you probably get a bit of value out of there. But I'd go Man United to win, and I'd be looking at Brian and Mbeumo to score, look at shots on target. I think they'll have a good go at this and maybe win by 2 clear.
Lee, thank you as always. Good stuff. Looking forward to seeing you on Saturday for talkSPORT Goals.
Can't wait.
Thank you for joining watching the talkSPORT Goals preview show, brought to you by Final One Standing, new from William Hill, 18+, a gamble aware dog, and we'll see you all hopefully for talkSPORT Goals Saturday 12:30 on talkSPORT's YouTube channel and on your smart TVs to keep you across all of the Premier League action.